The United States is not the only country engaged in the emotionally charged debate over same-sex marriage. The issue has also divided many European countries, including France and Britain.
VOA's Henry Ridgwell in London and Kate Woodsome here in Washington have been following the developments, and Alex talked with them to find out more. Let's take a look at that.
So, Kate, the U.S. Supreme Court is currently considering two cases related to gay marriage, and you actually had the opportunity to be outside of the Supreme Court on the day that the first arguments began. What was the scene like?
Same-sex marriage in the United States is a very divisive issue, and so the scene outside the court was equally as divisive. There were people with signs, banners, for both in support of same-sex marriage and against. And what was particularly striking to me was that active debates were taking place right on the steps of the Supreme Court. You had camps for both sides who were exercising their freedom of expression in support of their values, essentially. And people were camped out. There were people who had been sleeping there all night long and planned to sleep there again because they wanted to get into the court to hear what many considered to be a historic moment.
I want to bring Henry into the conversation now. Henry, of course, the United States is not the only place where we're talking about these issues and this debate over gay rights. So what's been happening lately in Europe?
That's right. The gay marriage debate has been top of the agenda in many European countries for some time now, especially at the moment in France, where a bill which would allow same-sex marriages is being debated as we speak by the French Senate, having already been passed by the lower house. That debate in the Senate is expected to last several days. Also here in Britain, the upper house of Parliament, the Lords, is also debating a same-sex marriage bill, that bill also having been passed in the lower house of Parliament here.
Now, Kate, to address the U.S. side of things.
One of the comparisons that people are making is gay marriage is essentially the same as interracial marriage. And in this country, race relations have been extremely controversial, as you know. And one of the couples that were standing outside of the Supreme Court were holding a sign up that said, "Not long ago, our marriage was illegal."
As a journalist covering an issue like this, which is so divisive, of course, we as journalists, we have to be unbiased and present both sides equally. But what kinds of sensitivities does that bring up in you when you're covering an issue like this? Obviously, as a person, as a citizen yourself, there are opinions that you yourself would have. So how do you balance those two sort of responsibilities that you have?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a subject that it's very difficult to be neutral on, and I guess not really right to be neutral on. As a father myself, I'm married, and you bring your own personal viewpoints into these situations. One particularly difficult aspect of the debate that I've been wrestling with really was when I reported from France, and one of the central tenets of that debate there is as Kate mentioned, it is the adoption of children. And I wonder, Kate, whether you found that issue is sensitive as well in the States, whether the adoption of children has been central to the debate there.
The adoption of children hasn't come up as much as it has in France. As you were talking about earlier, you have sort of religious camps who advocate in support of traditional marriage between a man and a woman and feel that the institution was brought into being to sort of protect the process of having children. Where I found the conflict most for me was in the divide between my two identities of being a private citizen and a public record keeper. During the throes of the Supreme Court debates, Facebook turned red, and there were thousands and thousands of people who changed their profile pictures to a small red square with an equal sign in the middle, and that has become a symbol of the gay rights movement. And I saw friends and family and some colleagues change their profile picture, and I was inclined as well to take a stance on the issue. But I couldn't, because as a journalist, you can't put your opinion out there, even on Facebook. At least VOA's policies prohibit us from expressing views on controversial issues.
And we look forward to more insights on this issue from VOA's Kate Woodsome and reporter Henry Ridgwell in London.